The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the Earth diplomatic vessel Dawnseeker as it approached the magnificent headquarters of the Galactic Council. The massive structure floated gracefully among the stars, its crystalline spires reaching out like frozen fingers against the backdrop of a stunning purple nebula. The sight was breathtaking, but Captain Lee Sun-Ho felt a growing unease in his stomach. Standing on the bridge, Sun-Ho watched as their ship drew closer to the docking station. His weathered hands gripped the command rail tightly, knuckles white with tension. 20 years of spaceflight experience hadn't prepared him for this moment. Humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council. At his side, First Officer Park Jin-ae maintained her characteristic calm, though Sun-Ho could see the slight tension in her shoulders. The rest of the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, each feeling the weight of representing Earth in this historic moment. "Docking sequence initiated," announced the helmsman, his voice steady despite the pressure. The Dawnseeker smoothly aligned itself with the Council Station's berth, magnetic clamps engaging with a soft thud that resonated through the hull. As they waited for the airlock to cycle, Sun-Ho turned to Jin-ae. "First impressions. The architecture is impressive," she replied, her dark eyes scanning the exterior of the station. "But notice how they positioned us at the lowest docking port. The Council ships are all arranged above us." Sun-Ho nodded. Even before their first official meeting, the Council was establishing a hierarchy. The message was clear: Earth was to know its place. The delegation made their way through the station's corridors, escorted by tall, blue-skinned beings who barely acknowledged their presence. The halls were filled with representatives from dozens of species, many shooting curious or disdainful glances at the humans. The council chamber itself was a massive amphitheater, its ceiling a transparent dome showing the stars above. Tier upon tier of seats rose in graceful curves, filled with beings of all descriptions. Some floated in containment fields, others sat in specially designed chairs, while a few seemed to be purely energy-based life forms. The human delegation was directed to stand in the speaker's circle at the bottom of the chamber. Sun-Ho couldn't help but notice how the position left them looking up at everyone else. Another subtle reminder of their perceived status. Chief Counselor Vex, a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple sets of eyes, looked down at them from the highest tier. When he spoke, his voice carried effortlessly through the chamber. The species calling themselves humans petition for equal standing in the Galactic Council. We have reviewed their technological advancement level. A holographic display appeared, showing Earth's achievements. Sun-Ho felt his face flush as several council members chittered in what seemed to be amusement. They have achieved space flight only recently, Vex continued. Their ships use primitive fusion drives. They have no quantum communications, no gravity manipulation technology, and their weapon systems are basic at best. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Jin-ae's expression remained neutral, but Sun-Ho could see her jaw clenching. Furthermore, Vex added, their society shows concerning levels of internal conflict. They have yet to achieve unified planetary governance. Sun-Ho stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, humanity has made great strides in recent years. Our diversity in different governing systems have led to rapid advancement through healthy competition. Silence. Vex's voice boomed. You speak out of turn. This merely proves our point about your species' lack of proper protocol and discipline. The chamber grew quiet as Vex leaned forward, his multiple eyes focusing intently on the human delegation. The Council has reached its decision. Your species barely mastered fusion drives. You will accept our oversight or face consequences. For your own protection, of course. Sun-Ho felt cold anger rising in his chest. He looked around the chamber, seeing the smug expressions, the dismissive gestures, the clear expectation that humanity would simply bow down and accept their designated role as a subjugated species. Drawing himself up to his full height, Sun-Ho spoke clearly, his voice carrying through the sudden silence. Earth does not bow to threats. He paused, meeting Vex's gaze steadily. We came here seeking friendship and mutual respect. Instead, we find arrogance and intimidation. This meeting is over." The human delegation turned as one and began walking toward the chamber's exit. Behind them, voices rose in outrage and disbelief. No species had ever simply walked out on the council before. As they made their way back to their ship, Jin-A spoke quietly. "They'll retaliate." "Yes," Sun Ho agreed. "They will." What the council didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this possibility. Deep in secret bases across the solar system, Earth's real fleet waited, ships far more advanced than the deliberately primitive vessel they'd brought to this meeting. The Dawn Seeker disengaged from the station and began its journey home. As they cleared the council's space, Sun Ho sent a coded message back to Earth. Protocol Thunderbird is now in effect. The game had begun, and the council was about to learn that appearances could be very deceiving indeed. In the underground command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters, Commander Kim Ta-won studied the holographic display with growing concern. The massive council fleet, now visible to Earth's long-range sensors, stretched across space like a swarm of angry wasps. Each dot on the display represented a warship, and there were thousands of them. The emergency meeting of world leaders had been called as soon as the fleet was detected. Now, representatives from every nation sat in tense silence as Ta-won delivered his report. The commander's weathered face showed no fear, though the situation was dire. "The council fleet will reach our solar system in less than 24 hours, he announced, his voice steady. "Their numbers are exactly as we anticipated. They mean to overwhelm us with sheer force." The Chinese president leaned forward. "And their capabilities?" "Their ships are impressive," Ta-won admitted. "Energy weapons, quantum shields, and faster-than-light drives. All the technology they mocked us for not having." A slight smile crossed his face. "Or so they think." The holographic display zoomed in on the lead vessels. The council ships were beautiful in their own way, all sweeping lines and gleaming metal. Each one was larger than anything humanity had publicly shown to the galaxy. "They've sent their message to every communication channel on Earth," Ta-won continued. The room's speakers crackled to life, filling with the arrogant voice of the Council Fleet Commander. "People of Earth, your defiance of the Galactic Council cannot be tolerated. Your primitive species requires guidance and oversight. Surrender your resources and accept your place in the Galactic Order, or face immediate conquest. You have 6 hours to respond." The president of Brazil stood up. "They expect us to just give up, to hand over our planet's resources and become their slaves." "That's exactly what they expect," Ta-won replied. "They believe we're a primitive species with outdated technology. They think we'll be too afraid to fight back." On screens worldwide, the massive council armada continued its approach. People gathered in streets and squares, watching the fleet's progress with a mixture of fear and determination. But unlike what the council might have expected, there was no panic, no chaos. Humanity had been preparing for this moment. "What they don't know," Ta-won continued, pressing a button that changed the holographic display, "is that we've been ready for them since day one." The new image showed a detailed schematic of Luna Base, Earth's secret military installation on the far side of the moon. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in massive hangars carved from solid rock, humanity's real fleet waited. "Project Thunderchild isn't just one ship," Ta-won explained. "It's an entire battle fleet. While we showed the Council our primitive fusion drives and chemical rockets, our best scientists and engineers were developing technology that matches or exceeds Council capabilities." The room erupted in quiet murmurs as classified images appeared. Ships unlike anything the Council had seen before, incorporating designs and technologies that humanity had kept hidden for precisely this moment. "How did we manage to keep this secret?" the British Prime Minister asked. "Compartmentalization," Ta-won answered. "And the fact that the Council's arrogance made them sloppy. They never bothered to look too closely at what we were doing on the far side of the moon. They were too convinced of our technological inferiority." A junior officer rushed into the room, handing Taiwan a datapad. The commander read it quickly, his expression hardening. "The Council fleet has just crossed Neptune's orbit," he announced. "They're moving faster than expected. We need to make our decision now." The Secretary General of the United Nations stood up. "I believe we've already made our decision. Humanity will not surrender. We will not bow. Commander Kim, you have the full authority of Earth's United Nations behind you." Taiwan nodded, pressing his communication device. "This is Commander Kim. Initialize Protocol Thunderchild. All ships, prepare for immediate launch." Deep within Luna Base, lights began flashing as crews rushed to their stations. In massive hangars, ships that had never seen combat powered up their systems. Weapons that the Council thought impossible hummed to life. As the Council fleet approached, believing they faced a primitive and helpless species, humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. The Thunderchild fleet was about to show the galaxy that appearances could be deceiving, and that underestimating Earth would be the Council's greatest mistake. Commander Kim Taiwan looked at the assembled world leaders one last time. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we do today will be remembered for generations to come. It's time to show the Council exactly what humanity is capable of." Above the moon's surface, hidden launch bays began to open. The thunder was about to roll across the stars. Hidden among the countless rocks of the asteroid belt, the HMS Thunderchild floated silently in space. Its dark hull absorbed nearby light, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of drifting asteroids. Inside, the ship hummed with power as its advanced systems came to life one by one. Captain Choi Ha-jin stood in the ship's command center, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the main display. Status reports scrolled across multiple screens, showing the Thunderchild systems powering up to full capacity for the first time since its completion. "Quantum core stabilization at 98%, announced Nan Nuri from her engineering station. Her fingers danced across the holographic controls as she fine-tuned the revolutionary power system. Fusion backup generators standing by. The Thunderchild was unlike any ship humanity had built before. While their enemies expected to face vessels powered by basic fusion reactors, this ship housed technology that would make even the Council's scientists stare in disbelief. Kang Do-young's voice came from the weapons station. "Quantum lance batteries charging, Captain. Power levels rising steadily." He monitored the complex weapon systems with intense focus. The quantum lances were theoretical until 6 months ago. Now they were about to be tested in actual combat. He-jin walked through the ship's gleaming corridors, performing her final inspection. Every surface shone with a subtle blue-white light, powered by the quantum core's energy field. The crew they passed stood straighter, drawing strength from their captain's calm presence. "Status report," she commanded, entering the bridge and taking her position in the command chair. "Ship's AI fully online," reported the systems officer. "Combat analysis protocols active. All defensive systems ready." The Thunderchild's artificial intelligence was another secret that would shock their enemies. While the Council believed humans barely understood basic computing, this AI could process combat situations faster than any organic mind. "Stealth systems engaged and functioning perfectly," added the tactical officer. "We're completely invisible to standard scanners. The Council fleet won't see us until it's too late." He-jin nodded, studying the tactical display showing the approaching Council armada. Thousands of enemy ships, arranged in perfect formation, moved through space with absolute confidence. They had no idea what waited for them. "Status of the other ships?" she asked. "The rest of the Thunderchild fleet is in position," Yuri reported from engineering. "All ships report ready for combat." While the Thunderchild was the most advanced of Earth's secret fleet, it wasn't alone. Other ships waited in strategic positions throughout the solar system, each carrying technology that would shatter the Council's expectations. "Message from command," announced the communications officer. "The Council fleet has rejected our final warning. They're maintaining course toward Earth." He-jin stood up, looking at each member of her crew. They were young, all of them, but their eyes showed determination rather than fear. They had trained for this moment, preparing in secret, while the galaxy dismissed their species as primitive. "This isn't just about defending Earth," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Today we prove that humanity deserves its place among the stars. Not because some council grants it to us, but because we've earned it through our own efforts." The quantum core's hum increased slightly as final power adjustments were made. Through the bridge's viewport, distant asteroids drifted by, providing perfect cover for the ship's position. "All hands to battle stations," Hedjin ordered. Warning lights pulsed softly as the crew secured themselves for combat. "Weapons Officer Du Young, bring the quantum lances to full power. Engineering, prepare for maximum thrust on my mark." The Council fleet grew larger on their displays, still completely unaware of the surprise waiting for them. Their rigid formation showed their overconfidence. They expected no real resistance. "Remember your training," Hedjin continued. "We may be outnumbered, but every system on this ship represents humanity's greatest achievements. We've kept our true capabilities hidden for this exact moment." The Thunderchild's AI projected possible attack vectors, calculating the most effective approach to catch the enemy off guard. The quantum lance batteries hummed with contained power, ready to unleash weapons that the Council thought impossible for primitive humans to create. "Final system check complete," Yuri announced from engineering. "The Thunderchild is ready for battle, Captain." Hedjin settled back in her command chair, a small smile playing across her lips. The Council was about to learn a very important lesson about underestimating humanity. "Prepare to break cover on my mark," she ordered. "Let's show them what this ship can do." The Thunderchild waited silently among the asteroids, its crew ready, its weapons primed. The thunder was about to roll. The Council fleet moved through space with perfect precision, their ships arranged in the traditional arrow formation that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Their golden hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they passed Mars, their sensors scanning for Earth's primitive defenses. None of their instruments detected the dark shape hiding in Mars' shadow. Captain Choi Hedjin watched the enemy fleet through Thunderchild's advanced sensors. The Council ships looked beautiful, she had to admit, each one a masterpiece of engineering. But their formation showed their greatest weakness: predictability. "Time to target," she asked quietly. "Council command ship will be in optimal range in 30 seconds, reported Du Young from the weapons station. The quantum lance batteries hummed softly, building power for their first real combat test. "Status of stealth systems." Hedjin's eyes never left the tactical display. "Operating at full capacity," answered Yuri. "Their sensors show only normal background radiation. They have no idea we're here." The Council command ship was massive, easily 4 times the size of Thunderchild. Its shield generators created a visible shimmer around its hull, defenses that no known weapon could penetrate. At least, no weapon the Council knew about. "All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers," Hedjin ordered. "Weapons, lock quantum lance on their command ship's primary shield generator." The bridge crew worked silently, each focused on their tasks. Years of training were about to be put to the test. Through the viewports, they could see the Council fleet growing larger, their golden ships filling the space before them. "Target locked," Du Young announced. His fingers hovered over the firing controls. "Quantum lance at full power." Hedjin took a deep breath. This first shot would change everything. Fire. The quantum lance activated with a sound like distant thunder. A beam of concentrated energy, deeper than black, shot from Thunderchild's bow. It crossed the space between the ships in less than a second, carrying enough power to tear a hole in reality itself. The Council command ship shields flared brilliantly as the quantum lance struck, and then shattered like glass. The beam continued through, striking the massive vessel's hull. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship broke apart from the inside, its hull peeling away as secondary explosions chained through its structure. The Council's flagship, their symbol of invincible power, transformed into an expanding cloud of debris. Direct hit, Du Young reported, his voice steady despite the historic moment. Target destroyed. Enemy shields proved ineffective against quantum lance technology. Chaos erupted in the Council fleet. Their perfect formation wavered as ships began emergency maneuvers, their commanders trying to understand what had just happened. Their communications channels filled with panic. "Multiple enemy ships moving to our position," reported the tactical officer. "They're attempting to locate the source of the attack." He Jin allowed herself a small smile. "Bring us about. Target their secondary command vessel. Let's show them this wasn't a lucky shot." Thunderchild moved silently through space, its stealth systems still masking its presence. The Council ships fired blindly, their energy weapons passing harmlessly through the space where they thought their attacker might be. "Second target locked," Du Young announced. "Ready to fire." The quantum lance spoke again. Another Council ship ceased to exist, its supposedly impenetrable defenses useless against human technology. More panic spread through the enemy fleet as their commanders realized they faced a weapon that shouldn't exist. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," Tactical reported. "They're splitting into defensive clusters." "Just as predicted," Hajin nodded. "They're following standard Council doctrine for dealing with an unknown threat. Signal the rest of our fleet. Execute attack pattern Thunder." Across the solar system, other human ships emerged from hiding. Each one carried weapons that the Council had dismissed as impossible. Each one crewed by humans who had trained in secret for this moment. "Message from the Council fleet," communications announced. "They're demanding to know who we are." "Send them our response," Hajin ordered. "Let them know exactly who they're facing." The message was simple. "This is HMS Thunderchild of the Earth Defense Force. You were warned. You chose not to listen." More quantum lance shots sliced through space, each finding their targets with deadly accuracy. The Council fleet's golden ships, so proud and powerful moments ago, began to retreat in disarray. "Enemy vessels attempting to regroup," Tactical reported. "They're trying to form a defensive sphere." "Don't let them," Hajin commanded. "Target their formation points. Don't let them reorganize." Thunderchild moved like a predator through space, striking where the enemy was weakest, vanishing before they could respond. The Council fleet, faced with technology they didn't understand and tactics they couldn't predict, began to lose cohesion. The battle had only just begun, but already the galaxy's balance of power was shifting. Humanity's thunder was rolling across the stars, and the Council was learning a harsh lesson about underestimating those they considered primitive. In her command chair, Captain Hajin watched as another quantum lance shot pierced the darkness. The time for hiding was over. Now was the time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. Through the chaos of battle, Thunderchild moved like a dancer among the stars. Captain Choi Hajin's hands gripped her command chair as the ship executed another spinning dive that should have been impossible for a vessel its size. Energy beams from Council ships passed through the space where they had been moments before. "Council tactical computers still can't predict our movement patterns," Yuri reported from engineering, her voice carrying a note of pride. "Their targeting systems are designed to counter logical attack vectors. They can't handle human intuition." The main screen showed dozens of Council ships trying to surround them. Their golden hulls flashed with weapon fire, attempting to trap Thunderchild in a web of deadly energy. But the human ship refused to follow their expectations. "Bring us in closer to their formation," Hajin ordered. "Let's show them what real space combat looks like." Thunderchild rolled and twisted, moving in ways that made the Council's tactical computers send error messages to their commanders. Each time they predicted the human ship would turn left, it spun right. When their calculations said it would retreat, it charged forward instead. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Du Young announced from weapons. "They're adapting their firing patterns." Hajin nodded. "Activate metamaterial hull. Let them waste their energy." The outer layer of Thunderchild's hull shifted at the molecular level, its surface becoming something that shouldn't exist according to Council science. The next barrage of enemy weapons struck the ship directly and simply refracted away, their energy dispersed harmlessly into space. Enemy commanders are requesting reinforcements, communications reported. They're calling us demons. There was a hint of amusement in the officer's voice. Through the viewports, they could see the Council's new flagship approaching. It was enormous, its hull bristling with weapon emplacements. Under normal circumstances, it would have been an intimidating sight, but this was no normal battle. Quantum Lance status? He-Jin asked, studying the approaching behemoth. Fully charged and ready, Du-Young replied. But they've modified their shields based on our previous attacks. It'll take multiple hits to breach them. He-Jin smiled. Then we'll give them multiple hits. Navigation, plot us a course through their defense screen. Engineering, divert all available power to propulsion and weapons. Thunderchild accelerated toward the Council fleet's heart. Enemy ships scrambled to intercept, their formations breaking apart as they tried to deal with an opponent that ignored their tactical doctrines. They're targeting our engines. Tactical warned as warning indicators flashed across the screens. Let them try, Yuri responded confidently. Our metamaterial hull is still absorbing everything they throw at us. The Council flagship grew larger in their view, its weapons charging for a massive barrage. Its commanders likely expected the human vessel to break off its attack run. No sane captain would charge directly at a ship 4 times their size. All hands, brace for high-G maneuvers, He-Jin ordered. Show them why humans are the best pilots in space. Thunderchild dove and rolled, its movements guided by human instinct rather than computer logic. Council gunners, trained to rely on targeting computers, found themselves unable to land a single hit on the wildly maneuvering vessel. In range for Quantum Lance strike, Du-Young reported as they closed with the flagship. Their shields are at maximum power. Target their primary shield generator, He-Jin commanded. Fire when ready. The Quantum Lance spoke, its beam cutting through space. The flagship's shields flared brilliantly, but held. However, the strain on their generators was visible as energy cascaded across their defense screen. Again, He-Jin ordered, keep firing until they break. Thunderchild continued its dance, each movement bringing it closer to its massive opponent. The Council flagship's weapons filled space with energy bolts, but none could touch the human ship as it twisted and turned through their fire. Enemy shield strength dropping, Tactical announced. Their generators can't handle the repeated Quantum Lance impacts. He-Jin leaned forward in her chair. One more shot. Pour everything we have into it. The Quantum Lance fired one final time. The flagship's shields shattered in a spectacular display of light, leaving the massive vessel vulnerable. Before they could recover, Thunderchild was already moving in for the killing blow. Target their bridge, He-Jin ordered. Let's end this. The Quantum Lance struck true, cutting through the flagship's command center. The massive ship began to list, secondary explosions rippling along its length as systems failed catastrophically. Enemy flagship disabled, Du-Young reported. The rest of their fleet is falling back. Through the viewports, they could see Council ships retreating in disarray. The mighty armada that had come to conquer Earth was being driven back by a single ship that refused to follow their rules of warfare. He-Jin stood from her command chair, watching the Council forces flee. Send a message to all enemy vessels, she ordered. Tell them, this is what happens when you underestimate humanity. We're not confined by your tactical doctrines or your scientific limitations. Remember this day. Thunderchild hung in space, its dark hull unmarked despite the intense battle. The Council had learned a harsh lesson about the difference between predictable machine logic and human creativity. David had beaten Goliath once again. Red alert klaxons blared across the Council fleet as new contacts appeared on their sensors. From behind Earth's moon, from the asteroid belt, and from hidden bases across the solar system, humanity's true fleet emerged. Ships that had been built and trained in absolute secrecy now revealed themselves, each one carrying weapons that the Council had dismissed as impossible. Captain Song Min-ki stood on the bridge of the EDF Dauntless, watching his tactical display light up with friendly signatures. All ships, this is Dauntless. Form up on my position. Today, we show them what humanity can really do. Aboard the EDF Relentless, Captain Yoon Ji-hoo smiled as her ship's quantum drives powered up. Weapons free, she commanded. Target their support vessels first. Let's see how well they fight without their supply lines. The Council Admiral stared in disbelief at his command screen. Where there had been only scattered resistance moments before, now dozens of advanced warships appeared. Each one matched or exceeded his own fleet's capabilities. Impossible, he muttered, watching another of his ships disappear in a flash of quantum lance fire. Their technology was primitive. We saw their ships. We scanned their planet. Multiple enemy vessels approaching from Vector 317. His tactical officer reported, voice shaking. Their weapons, sir, they're using technology we thought was theoretical. The EDF Dauntless led the charge, its quantum lances cutting through Council shields like paper. Behind it, the Relentless targeted enemy supply ships, its precision strikes leaving the Council fleet without support or reinforcement. Enemy fleet attempting to regroup. Min-ki's tactical officer reported. They're trying to form a defensive sphere around their remaining command ships. Not today, Min-ki responded. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega. Don't let them reorganize. Human vessels struck from multiple directions, their movements unpredictable, their weapons devastating. Council commanders, trained to fight according to strict tactical doctrines, found themselves unable to counter the creative strategies employed by human captains. Ji-hoo's voice crackled over the fleet channel. Relentless to all ships, their supply lines are broken. They can't refuel or rearm. Push the advantage. The Council Admiral watched helplessly as his fleet was systematically taken apart. Ships that had conquered a dozen worlds now fell one by one to weapons that his scientists had claimed were impossible to build. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're receiving surrender signals from multiple vessels. Our formation is breaking apart. How? The Admiral demanded. How did they hide this from us? Where did these ships come from? On the Dauntless's bridge, Min-ki watched with satisfaction as another Council formation crumbled under coordinated human attacks. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity, he said quietly. We knew you were coming. We've been preparing for years. The Relentless executed a perfect attack, run on a Council heavy cruiser, its quantum lances striking with surgical precision. Target neutralized, Ji-hoo reported calmly. Moving to next objective. Earth's fleet moved like a well-oiled machine, each ship supporting the others, their attacks synchronized for maximum effect. The Council's rigid tactics proved useless against opponents who refused to fight according to established rules. Sir, the Council Admiral's tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. We've lost contact with our entire starboard wing. Human ships are. They're everywhere. The Admiral slumped in his command chair, watching his mighty fleet fall apart. Everything they had believed about human technology had been wrong. The primitive vessels they had seen were decoys, hiding humanity's true capabilities. Fleet status report. Min-ki requested as the Dauntless banked hard to avoid enemy fire. Enemy fleet at 40% strength and falling. His tactical officer replied. Their formations are completely broken. We're detecting multiple reactor core breaches in their remaining capital ships. Ji-hoo's voice came over the command channel again. Relentless reporting. Their supply ships are either destroyed or have fled the system. Their remaining combat vessels are operating on emergency power. The Council Admiral watched the tactical display in horror as more red dots vanished, representing more of his ships lost to human weapons. His mighty armada, sent to subjugate a primitive species, was being systematically dismantled by ships that matched or exceeded his best vessels. Order a general retreat, he finally commanded, his voice hollow. All ships, emergency withdrawal protocol. Get us out of this system. But the humans had anticipated this too. The EDF fleet had positioned itself to cut off their escape routes, forcing the Council ships to run a gauntlet of quantum lance fire if they wanted to flee. Look at them run. Min-Ki observed as Council ships began breaking formation, some attempting to escape while others continued fighting. They never imagined we could do this to them. The battle that had started with Thunderchild's single defiant attack was ending in a complete rout of the Council forces. Humanity's hidden fleet had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the last Council ships fled or surrendered, Captain Song Min-Ki opened a channel to all Earth vessels. To all ships, well done. Today we've shown the galaxy that humanity won't be pushed around. We've earned our place among the stars. The Council Admiral's final transmission reached Earth's fleet as his ship prepared for emergency jump. This isn't over. The Council will not forget this humiliation. No, Jai-Hu responded from the Relentless. They won't forget. That's exactly what we wanted. Human ships moved through the debris field of what had been the Council's mighty armada, picking up survivors and securing captured vessels. The tables had turned, and humanity had proven itself far more capable than anyone had imagined. The battle was over. The age of human dominance in space had begun. Commander Kim Ta-won stood before the Galactic Council once again, but this time the atmosphere was entirely different. Gone were the sneers and dismissive glances. Now the Council members watched him with a mixture of respect and barely concealed fear. The Thunderchild's victory had changed everything. The crystalline chamber, still as magnificent as before, now held representatives from dozens of species who had previously been too afraid to speak against the Council's authority. They whispered among themselves as Ta-won approached the speaker's platform. 3 months ago, we stood in this chamber seeking friendship, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. We were dismissed as primitive, threatened with subjugation. Today, we return not as conquerors, but as equals seeking a better way forward. High above Earth, the Thunderchild maintained its patrol, its dark hull a reminder of humanity's unexpected power. Captain Choi Ha-jin watched from her bridge as diplomatic vessels from various worlds approached Earth's orbit. Each carried representatives from species who had long suffered under Council dominance. The old Council believed that technological advancement was the only measure of civilization. Ta-won continued. They failed to understand that true strength comes from diversity, adaptability, and the courage to think differently. The Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Their mighty fleet had been shattered, their authority challenged for the first time in centuries. But instead of replacing one tyranny with another, humanity had chosen a different path. We propose a new structure, Ta-won announced. One where all species have an equal voice, where technological advancement is shared, not hoarded, where cooperation replaces domination. Aboard Thunderchild, Ha-jin received another request for diplomatic contact, this time from a species that had been denied Council membership for centuries. Their message was simple. We seek friendship with those who defeated our oppressors. Earth opens its universities, its research facilities, its shipyards to all who wish to learn, Ta-won declared. We will share our advancements freely with those who join us in building a better galaxy. The chamber erupted in discussion. Species that had been forced to buy overpriced Council technology now saw a path to independence. Worlds that had been denied development now had hope for advancement. But know this, Ta-won's voice cut through the noise. While we seek peace, we will not tolerate oppression. The Thunderchild and our fleet stand ready to defend any world that chooses freedom over subjugation. In space, more ships arrived daily. Some carried diplomats. Others brought scientists eager to collaborate with human researchers. The Thunderchild's victory had shown them all that the impossible was possible. The choice is yours, Ta-won concluded. Join us in building a new order based on mutual respect, or cling to the old ways and face obsolescence. Humanity extends its hand in friendship, but we will never bow to threats again. One by one, Representatives stood to pledge support for the new alliance. Even former council hardliners, seeing the way the wind was blowing, began to negotiate for places in the new order. Captain Hajin smiled as she watched another diplomatic vessel dock with Earth's orbital station. Her ship, which had struck the first blow for freedom, now served as a symbol of hope for countless species. Message from command, her communications officer reported. More alliance requests arriving hourly. The galaxy is changing, Captain. Yes, Hajin replied. It is, and for the better. The Thunderchild continued its patrol, its quantum lances silent but ready. The ship had proven that determination and creativity could overcome any obstacle. Now it stood guard as a new galactic civilization took shape. In the council chamber, Commander Ta-1 watched as centuries of oppression began to crumble. Humanity had not only earned its place among the stars, but had opened the door for others to follow. The age of council dominance is over, he announced. The age of cooperation and mutual advancement begins today. As the new alliance took shape, ships from Earth began sharing their advanced technology with other worlds. The quantum lance, once a closely guarded secret, became a symbol of liberation rather than destruction. The galaxy would indeed never be the same. Humanity had shown that true strength lay not in weapons or technology alone, but in the courage to stand up for what was right. The Thunderchild's victory had opened a new chapter in galactic history, one where all species could reach for the stars together. As Commander Ta-1 left the council chamber, messages of support and alliance requests continued to pour in from across the galaxy. The revolution that had begun with one ship's defiant stand had become a movement for freedom that could not be stopped. The thunder had rolled across the stars, and its echo would resound for generations to come.